Did you know it's possible to play D&D all by yourself? No dungeon master, no friends around the table, just you and your dice. Finally alone. Whenever I talk about solo D&D, there are people who say that it's sad or weird or cringe. Well, I've played, and to be honest, it can be a mixed bag. So today I'm gonna give you an honest look into 3 parts of solo D&D that are great, 2 that are not so great, and 1 that is, let's face it, maybe a little cringe. Before we get started, let me introduce you to our solo adventurer. This is Aisling the Elf Warlock, my first real long-term D&D character. Naturally, that means she's a pretty elf with a tragic backstory. Here's the short version. She comes from a clan of nomadic wood elves, led by matriarch Roisin, who was Aisling's powerful witch grandma. Then Roisin died, and Aisling suddenly had to step up and lead. The clan is being threatened by this spreading rot that kills plants and poisons water, so Aisling made a pact with an archfey who promised she could stop it. This pact gave her magic powers, a pseudo-dragon familiar named Nightshade, and a real, it's not a phase mom kind of vibe. We're resurrecting Aisling because her original game fizzled out back in 2019, and this seemed like the perfect way to finally give her story an ending. I've updated her character sheet, and now we're jumping into our first solo session. Don't worry, I'm not gonna make you sit through all 3 hours of me rolling dice alone in my office. That's the kind of reckless decision I reserve for my own Friday nights. Instead, I'll show you the highlights so you can see the good, the bad, and the parts that made me question my life choices. To run the game, I am using the Solo Adventurer's Toolbox by Paul Bimler. I actually got these books in a sponsorship years ago, but I keep using them because they're just that good. But they're not sponsored now. You don't need these books to do solo play. All you really need are the D&D rules. These are just a resource designed to make it easier. Other than that, all I need are my dice, a notebook, and my character sheet. I'm using D&D Beyond for that. Hi. The obvious hook for her leaving home is a vision from her warlock patron that sent her on a quest. But I don't know what that vision was, so this seems like a great chance to use the keywords table. 87. Scary. Track. Noxious. There's something leaving rotting tracks. So Aisling's quest is to go and track this noxious creature, this creature of the rot, in hopes that maybe it will lead her to the origin of or more information about the rot. Well, she would definitely go and say goodbye to Kian, who is her close friend. He's a healer, so he gives her a healing potion. Probably she would have like an interaction with Neve. She's probably like, have fun on your silly little jaunt chasing from your dreams. I will be here actually running the clan that you're supposed to be running. She sets off into the wood with her familiar Nightshade perched on her shoulder. Seems clear enough to me. Let's fucking go. One of the most challenging parts of group D&D, and easily the one that leads to the most conflicts at the table, is figuring out how to share the spotlight. In group D&D, each player is one of the main characters, but in solo D&D, you are the main character. No need to worry about whether or not you're taking up too much space by using sending to talk to your character's mentor. No more sessions where you spend an hour watching the rogue do a solo stealth mission while you resist the urge to play Balatro on your phone. When you're the only one playing, the story can be completely centered on whatever story you want to explore. Pursue your character's personal goals, travel to the locations you find interesting, and only include the kinds of game elements that you enjoy. If you hate dungeons, don't play any. If you love masquerade balls, attend as many as you like. If you want to spend a few months of in-game time building, staffing, and launching your own flump-themed bakery, no one can stop you. Solo play gives you total freedom to play exactly the kind of game you want. You never have to do a quest that you find boring or think is a waste of time. No more fetch 3 wolf pelts quests, unless you just really want to murder a bunch of wolves. Your playstyle is valid too, Little Red Riding Hood. As a person with ADHD, I bounce back and forth between hyperfixation and boredom. Sometimes I'm all in on a plotline when it starts, but a few weeks later, I'm itching for something new. Solo play means I can focus on whatever I'm obsessed with at the moment and then pivot whenever Explore the Mermaid City loses its shine and suddenly all I want to do is compete in a fantasy battle of the bands. To be clear, none of this is me saying group D&D is bad because you are not the main character. I love group play. I love being a fan of my friends' characters. I love the dynamic that can develop in a D&D party. And I love how everyone's different choices make the game unpredictable and messy in the best possible way. Solo play just scratches a different itch. You can be part of the Avengers at your group table, and then you can be Iron Man at your solo table. It's fun in different ways. We're gonna roll a D100 for Wilderness Encounters. 26. Easy encounter. All right, we're rolling initiative. Aisling, Needle Blight, Twig Blights. First up, Aisling. She'll hex the Needle Blight. Now we can cast Eldritch Blast. The Needle Blight is going to use its needles damage, and it's gonna be dead. That's a natural 20! Twig Blight 2, dead. It's gonna get as close as it can to her, but not if she keeps rolling like 12. that does not hit. Not my fave, not my fave. It is Ashling's turn to take one more freaking quarterstaff attack. Oh, thank God, a 16. All right, whoo, dead. That's the last twig blight down. We did it, team. We did a combat. When she moved over there to hide behind that rock, she noticed an opening in the cliff face, which only exists because the little paper terrain pieces I was using had a little opening in the cliff face one, and I was like, that seems fun. She is injured. This cavern could be a safe place to hide. What is in there? Oh, here, natural cavern generator, page 96. Let's see what is on the table. On the table. 3, a sinkhole leads down to a cavern. She will descend a cave-in. So the ceiling of this cavern is partially destroyed, so there's a partial cave-in. Pools of strange liquid. Roll for keywords to determine the nature of this liquid. Keywords, 544, family. No, I don't like that, let's try again. Fugitive, that doesn't really mean anything either. Target, none of these are doing anything for me. Alcohol. That's very literal. So there are pools of alcohol here. I'm gonna roll an investigation check. That's only a 7. So I guess she just doesn't know why there are these pools of alcohol in here. That's super weird. Maybe we roll on the keyword table and try to find some other explanation for these pools of alcohol, because this is solo play and we don't have to accept any answer that is not interesting to the story we're telling. No one's even here to judge us except for 750,000 people on the internet. Moan, no, absolutely not. Not on this channel. Rope. Nimble. None of this is helpful. Group. Chase. These verbs are not doing shit for me. There's a strange pool of liquid on the floor. Chase. Infectious. Ugh. This feels kind of in line with the creature who is leaving these noxious tracks that she's supposed to be tracking. She has a bottle of ink, so she could empty the bottle of ink to take a sample of the noxious liquid. So she's gonna leave. She'll climb up her rope and leave the same way that she came in, and she will head back out into the world. In my first video about solo play, I cut between clips of the dice rolls and scripted narration that summarized the story. That way viewers got to see a taste of the actual gameplay, but they also got a concise story that was fun to watch. But that also means that people didn't see the long stretches of me looking for the right rolling table or hunting for stat blocks or re-rolling on the keyword table 12 times in a row because it just kept spitting out words like gray and path. I think I'm pretty creative, but even I'm gonna need a little more than that. The truth is, the bookkeeping of solo play is kind of a pain in the ASMR. If you're just making story decisions without getting dice involved, it's easy enough. But anytime you want something randomized or you want it to feel more game than creative writing exercise, suddenly you're playing as a fantasy-flavored database administrator. It gets smoother over time as you find the right resources and get the hang of the flow of play, but it's still always gonna take longer to fabricate a randomly generated surprise than it does for a DM to just reveal something their players didn't know. This session took me about 3 hours, which is pretty normal length for D&D, but instead of that time being shared among 6 different people, debating their actions and cracking jokes, it was just me, hunched over a rule book, muttering, nope, that doesn't make sense, try again. Combat in particular is a big adjustment from group D&D. At a standard game table, you're used to being presented with a situation and then choosing how you react. But in solo play, when your turn ends, it's your turn again, only now you're role-playing a goblin who is doing its best to try to kill you. Personally, I'm a sicko who enjoys trying my absolute hardest to murder my own characters, but it does occasionally feel a little silly, like playing chess against yourself. When you lose, you also win, and when you win, you still kinda lost. And either way, it took about as long as it would have taken at a group D&D table, except you didn't get to spend any of it playing Balatro while the druid reads their whole spell list for the 4th time. I don't know why I keep making Balatro jokes, I've never played it. I guess I just want to fit in. So we'll go ahead and roll her another wilderness encounter for the day because she's out in the wilderness on her journey. 16, 1d4. 1, you see one ranger who looks like they are hot on the trail of something or someone, an NPC, and this ranger's tracking something. Ashling's also tracking something. 16, a tiefling. Tiefling male, lawful good. Oh, disposition, that's a good idea. Single-minded. Let's name him Halcyon. Keywords. I need some more keywords. Vibe check. Country. Knowledge. Mother. Country. Knowledge. Mother. Country. I'm going to interpret that as him having a southern accent. He's out here seeking knowledge to heal his mother. Okay, how about this? We know the tracks were noxious. We know the pools in the cavern that were potentially related to that creature were infectious. This infectious creature has made his mother sick, and that's why he's hunting it. He would probably be like, Who are you and what are you doing out here? Whether or not she would be honest might depend on an insight check. That's an 18, plus 2 is a dirty 20. She can get a good read on him and she knows that he's not a threat. I'm tracking something. And then he would probably say, what are you tracking? And she would say, I'm not quite sure. Does he know what he's tracking? 5. No. So neither of them know what they're tracking. She wouldn't reveal like the whole story, but I think she would say, I'm tracking a creature that I know to be toxic to the land. He would then probably tell her the story of how his mother got infected. Probably she had some sort of like wound or bite on her that was infected, and it's only gotten worse, which is why the ranger, Halcyon, came out to try and track down the creature, because none of the cures that their village healers would typically use have had any effect on her, and she's getting worse day over day. So he thinks he needs to find the creature that did it in order to heal her. He's already found the tracks that Ashley needed to find, so they're gonna be going the same direction anyway. So why not travel together? I guess this would be a good time then to add a sidekick. Hey, baby's first sidekick. One of my very favorite parts of tabletop games is the role play. I love building relationships with my party members. I love persuading or interrogating NPCs. I love haggling for discounts that I definitely don't deserve. And as a game master, I love giving every NPC their own little quirks, from the central villains all the way down to the random town guard that my players insist on grilling for 20 minutes because he happened to be standing nearby. But without anyone to roleplay off of, you're kind of just talking to yourself. Personally, it feels a little too weird to have back and forth conversation between two characters when I'm playing both of them. And even if you're willing to do it, it's clunky. Between every line, you have to reorient. Now I'm the mysterious shopkeeper hawking my wares. Now I'm the plucky adventurer asking if that sword is cursed. Okay, now I'm the shopkeeper again, but now I'm asking for the definition of the word cursed. And that's just with 2 characters. Now imagine trying to roleplay any scene with 3 or more. That's why I always carry a sword. Cuts the cast list in half. If what you enjoy about roleplay is experiencing the world through the lens of your character, this is probably not gonna give you that same feeling. You might be asking, Ginny, don't DMs do that all the time? And gold star for participation. But next time, let's wait to be called on, okay? Personally, I am more likely to just summarize any conversation between 2 NPCs that doesn't involve the players. But it's true that some game masters are really good at having a conversation between multiple NPCs, like a 1DM puppet show. The question then becomes, do they still enjoy putting on that puppet show without an audience? Are you still having fun if you're the only one laughing at your grung voice? For me, what makes role-playing NPCs so fun is the performance and my players' reactions. I love when they fall in love with an NPC or find one funny or get really pissed off at a villain. But when I'm role-playing alone, that element disappears. The way I solve this is by basically slipping into fiction writing mode. In my notes or just in my head, I'm drafting dialogue like I'm writing a scene in a short story, which can be fun, but it's not roleplay, it's writing. And not everyone who loves roleplay loves writing. In fact, one of the most repetitive comments I get on my solo play videos are, isn't this just called writing a book? Yes, you're very clever, all 500 of you. Could solo play resources be useful for writing a book? Sure. I'll bet the rolling tables could help with brainstorming or as writing exercises. But I have written books and I've played solo TTRPGs, and I can tell you with a lot of confidence that they are not the same thing. For many reasons, but mainly because when you write a book, you're writing for an audience. And when you play solo, you are writing only for yourself. You don't need to worry about whether or not something is cliche or unrealistic or polished. All that matters is that you're having fun. So yes, fiction writing can absolutely be a part of your solo play experience, but it doesn't have to be, and it's still not a one-to-one replacement for role-playing. When it comes to character interactions and relationships, solo play just gives you a very different experience than a group game. But if you think it's awkward to roleplay with yourself, try watching me awkwardly transition to today's sponsor. It is sponsorship time. Do the swooshy thing. You know that campaign info currently spread across 12 open tabs, 3 notebooks, and the back of a Chipotle receipt? It's a cry for help. And I hear it. Players, game masters, writers, World Anvil was built to make sense of your chaos. It's a world-building platform that puts your setting, story, and characters all in one place. With solo play, I can't just ask other players what happened last time. If I forget, all I've got are my own cryptic scribbles. It's like Memento, but with more goblins. So when I started this campaign, I knew I would need a central hub. First, I imported Ashling's character sheet with World Anvil's D&D Beyond importer. Just copy the numbers from the URL, paste, click, done. Way faster than my usual method, which includes a homemade character journal and a week of hand cramps. Next, Halcyon Halcyon the Ranger. Normally, sidekick stat blocks need so many tweaks that they should come with a college credit for applied mathematics. But with World Anvil, I can build a custom stat block and update it whenever I want. And of course, I'm logging Ashling's journey on her character page. Session journals, art gallery, inventory. My real backpack is a graveyard of crumpled papers and loose cough drops, but Ashling's imaginary one, meticulous. That is just scratching the surface. World Anvil is packed with tools built by world builders who know what you need. Try it free and get 51% off any annual subscription with the code Ginny at worldanvil.com, because your villain's master plan shouldn't hinge on whether or not you can read your own handwriting. Now we have two different skilled trackers tracking this creature, and they have a fair amount of information. So I think we can reasonably say they would be able to track it. So what do they find? All right, so we have an item, we have an NPC, we have a trap, and we have a monster. 2 PCs level 5. I want this to be a hard fight. This is like the big one. NPC alignment. It's a 64, which is lawful evil. 7. Paladin, we could use this undying soldier stat block, which is CR2. It's like an undead paladin who's like actively rotting. 82, swarm of ravens. Oracle, do the tracks belong to the paladin? That's a 4, that's a no. Maybe the ravens are feeding on the body of the creature they were tracking. A black bear. Ashling's gonna cast Phantasmal Force on the Undying Soldier. An intelligence saving throw, and that is a natural 1. So she fails that. She does definitely see the illusion of the rotting bear suddenly waking up, standing up, shaking the ravens off of it, and then coming at her and attacking her, basically. Is the Undying Soldier surprised to see the rotten bear come to life? 1. No, and she was downright expecting it. She too was resurrected by this rot. The rot raises creatures from the dead after it kills them, which is very bad news for Halcyon's mom. The paladin's focused on the bear. She doesn't want to draw attention, so she's gonna go ahead and Eldritch Blast the swarm of ravens. All the ravens are dead. Those ravens. So, paladin, the illusion drops. The paladin is now aware that something is going on because she sees that the bear is still dead on the ground. The bear rises up from its death into an actual resurrection, like the one that Aisling created an illusion of. He's lawful good. You know, he's a good dude, so he's gonna try and help her. He's gonna go ahead and take his 2 longbow attacks against the bear. 50, 55, 60, 65, 70. He's 70 feet away, but the range is 150 to 600, so disadvantage. That is gonna be, wow, 17 and 19. He's rolling so good. So the bear goes down and stays down. Bear dead. Yay! Second, God, how many natural 20s is he gonna roll at disadvantage? Eldritch Blast. Here we go. Oh, 10 plus 6, that's not enough. That's 16, that doesn't hit. She's still hexed, but a lot of good it'll do if he can't hit her. Stomp all the way up. She's gonna take her 2 two-handed spear attacks. God, she's rolling really bad. A 10 to hit, which does not hit Aisling, especially with her mage armor. A natural 20. Oof, 25 points of damage against Aisling. She's down to 8 hit points. He is gonna do his best with his longbow, man. I mean, they're both gonna be at disadvantage again. It hasn't stopped him so far, but it'd be very scary if it stopped him this time. Oof, that's a 6. That's not gonna be enough. And then for his second one, oh, a natural 1. I guess he'll hide again. Like, what else would he do? He's not gonna sacrifice his life for this woman he just met. She needs to get the out. So she's gonna use her last Misty Step. That gives her an extra 1d10. God, 1 temp HP. Thanks for nothing. That's a 13. Plus 6 is 19, so that does hit. 6 points? Yeah, she's dead. But they will need to move fast because Halcyon's mother is sick, and like now he knows what's gonna happen to her. And I'm afraid that's where we're gonna have to leave the cliffhanger at this point. There will be a full video about my whole solo play campaign, and we will see what happens with this. But for now, that's where we gotta leave it, because it is 11 p.m. There's a running joke in the tabletop community that scheduling is the real big bad of D&D, and let's be honest, it's not really a joke. Trying to wrangle 5 or 6 people into the same 4-hour block every other week can feel near impossible. It's like you're casting planar binding on everybody's Google calendars, and the spell fails if anybody has kids or an irregular work schedule or takes vacations. Not to mention, there are plenty of people who have trouble finding a D&D party at all. I hear from folks all the time who say they don't have a tabletop community nearby, or their online games keep fizzling out, or they struggle to find a group that matches their playstyle. And for some people, health or mobility makes a consistent game impossible. Then there are the diehards who would happily play D&D every single day if they could. You know who you are, the DMs who lie awake at night mentally tracing the trade routes of their world, the players who come home from a session and immediately sit down to work on their novel-length campaign prequel. This is where solo D&D shines. It's accessible. You don't need to schedule anything, you don't need to travel, you don't need to beg someone to DM. You can play whenever you want, wherever you want. Every night after work, go for it. 6-month break and then pick up right where you left off, totally fine. If you want to play a session in your hotel room while traveling, or outside at a public park on a beautiful day, you can. I'll be on a 4-hour flight next week, and if I want to pull up some digital dice and play a session, nothing is stopping me. Listen, if the person in 14B can watch 12 consecutive episodes of Big Bang Theory, then I can definitely attempt a high-stakes art heist, where I am both the charming con artist and the guard I just bribed. For a lot of people, group D&D is plagued by logistical concerns. Solo play wipes all of that away. The only person you need to coordinate with is yourself, and hopefully you're not too busy. Time to level up. Level 6, baby. Okay, so now, not only can I use Misty Step as a reaction to taking damage, but I get 2 new things that I can do when I Misty Step. Disappearing Step, which makes me invisible, or Dreadful Step, which lets me deal psychic damage to the people I'm leaving behind. Next, we are leveling up Halcyon, my sidekick, using the sidekick rules. The Expert 6th level Coordinated Strike. So when the sidekick takes the help action, the target can be up to 30 feet away from the sidekick, and the sidekick can deal an extra 2d6 damage to it next time they hit it with an attack roll. Okay, I think this means that the sidekick can do the help action from 30 feet away, and next time it attacks that same target, it does an extra 2d6 damage. Am I understanding that right? That sounds kind of OP. All right. In the last combat, Halcyon was using his bonus action to hide, like every time, like a little coward, but he should have been using it to do the help action to help Aisling with her attack. Anyway, going forward, when he does that, he also gets to deal extra damage as his reward for being helpful. Oh, he needs increased hit points too. Whenever the sidekick gains a level, it gains 1 hit die and its hit point maximum increases. Con modifier remains the same. 8d8 hit dice, which means we add 4.5, so he's 44, plus con modifier, which is 2, so 46. 46 hit points. He and Aisling are neck and neck. Here he is, level 6. In every D&D game I've ever played, we've leveled up much more slowly than the Dungeon Master's Guide advises. And while there are tons of reasons that DMs choose to slow down level progression, and we're probably also to blame for spending so much time talking to NPCs instead of doing literally anything that earns XP, it also means that I spend a lot of my adventuring time staring longingly at abilities that I probably won't gain for another 6 months. But in solo D&D, you're not just the player, you're also the DM, which means you're the one setting the pace. I'm free to use that DMG recommended 2 to 3 sessions per level pacing if I want to. And if you would rather stretch things out so you stay at level 3 for half a year, also possible. Although I would love to understand what's going on inside your head. And this isn't just about leveling. You control how quickly your character gets magic items and equipment upgrades. If you really want to gain a feat but don't want to have to give up your ability score improvement to get one, okay, take both. You're the boss, you decide how generous the game is. I'm definitely not saying that you should hand yourself a stack of legendary artifacts at level 1 and go solo the Lich King. Actually, that sounds like such a fun exercise. You have wildly powerful resources, but you also have 11 hit points. Either way, the restrictions in D&D exist for a reason. They introduce challenges, and the potential for failure makes your successes feel earned. Personally, I would be bored playing a game where I was super overpowered and there was no real risk of things going wrong. But you should absolutely feel comfortable customizing the game to the kind of experience that you want to have. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You can play solo D&D like it's Dark Souls, or you can play it in story mode. For those keeping score at home, that's 3 things I like and 2 things I don't, which means it's time to face the Loxodon in the room. I regularly get comments on my solo D&D videos that boil down to one basic accusation: that's cringe. And listen, it is true that solo play is, by definition, not social. If what you love most about tabletop games is hanging out with your friends, you're not gonna find that here. D&D can be an incredible way to bond with people. I love how it strengthens my friendships, and I've even built whole new ones at the table. I have heard so many stories of people who were lonely or socially awkward or just wanted more connection, and tabletop games helped them find it. I think that's beautiful. But playing solo games doesn't mean giving up on that. It's not like you have to pick one one lane and stay there forever. Tons of people play both solo and group games, or they get their socializing elsewhere. No one's gonna show up at your door with a clipboard like, sorry, you've chosen solo D&D. You have to forfeit all your friends now. We live in a world where people are terrified of being cringe. Some of us even let that fear of judgment stop us from doing perfectly harmless things that we would probably really enjoy. To me, that is way sadder than just rolling dice in your living room on a Wednesday night. We don't bat an eye when people play video games alone or do a puzzle or play solitaire. Most of us already have a mix of social and private hobbies. Do some people think solo D&D is cringe? Sure. A lot of people still think regular D&D is cringe. My advice, don't worry about them. It's a big world. If you're exposed to enough people, some of them will think what you're into is embarrassing. Thankfully, they don't get to decide what you do. So no, solo D&D isn't social. For me, that's one of the downsides, because I love that part of the hobby. That's just something to keep in mind when deciding if this kind of play is right for you. Is solo D&D cringe? I don't know. I guess it is. But also, who the cares? So there you go, what I like about solo play and what I don't. Whether or not this kind of gaming is for you depends on what you're looking for. There are people in my comments saying that discovering solo play changed their life for the better, and there are also people saying that it's about as interesting as watching paint dry. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide if it sounds like something you would enjoy. Hopefully my thoughts can help you make that call. Keep in mind also that there are tons of different ways to play solo tabletop games. This was a more sandboxy method, but there are also pre-written solo play adventures. D&D is far from the only game with a solo play variant, and there are tons of indie tabletop games that were created to be solitaire experiences, and don't even have the option for group play. Just one more thing that I wanted to touch on since it always comes up in the comments. People love to say, just use ChatGPT for this. I don't want to get too deep into this because it's controversial, and to be totally honest with you, I get enough without saying anything more controversial than consider being kind to each other maybe. But I just want to say, you are way more creative than ChatGPT. I don't know you, but I don't have to. You have a human brain in your head. You win. And if you aren't confident in the muscle of your own mind, trust me, outsourcing your creativity to a machine is not going to strengthen it. Okay, that's it. Soapbox moment over. I've said in some previous videos that I'm planning on doing a full solo play campaign with Aisling to finish out her story. I know it took a long time to get to it, but I'm finally doing it, which means this story will continue. If you are not subscribed yet, you should do that now so you don't miss it. According to my analytics, 65% of you are watching my videos but not subscribed. Plus, I just hit 825,000 subscribers, which means 1 million is like, actually maybe not impossible? That kind of makes me want to throw up a little. If just 2 out of every 10 unsubscribed viewers press that button, I would hit 1 million by the end of the year, which isn't likely, but it's a fun thought exercise.